Thank you for staying. Let's get into our first story. And the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition has revealed that it will take government at least 18 months to fully implement recommendations of the Technical Committee on the Privatization of the Electricity Company of Ghana. The 7-member committee, which was set up by the sector minister to look into the matter, has presented its report with 3 key recommendations. But it is emerging now that the full realization of this may take a while. James Agbeji has more.
The Electricity Company of Ghana has continued to sink in debt for many years as persistent government interventions do not seem to work. The 7-member committee instituted by the Energy Minister John Jinapor to advise government on a possible privatization has recommended entity concession, multiple lease and service franchise to get ECG out of the debt. Speaking on the latest Joy News National Dialogue on the matter, Deputy Director in charge of power at the Energy Ministry, Suleiman Abubakar, says it will take government at least 1.5 years to implement the recommendations.
We want to also hasten, but surely. So you're looking at least 18 months.
18 months before you take a decision.
No. I mean, this is part of the decision-making process. But we'll have to engage. This preliminary work that has been done, Honorable Minister has actually indicated we need to, in drilling down these things, there's some further work that needs to be done on some cost-benefit analysis. You don't just hand over ECG or anything to the private sector without setting some baselines, knowing your assets, their worth, and negotiating. And depending on the option chosen, if you're going to maybe have zones or concessions, all of these have to be, be factored in. And critically, the transaction advisory service, and then the engagement of transaction advisory service. So you're not looking at, all of these things could take, give or take 12 to 18 months before we get the PSP going.
But the Public Workers Union has continued to reiterate its strong objection to the move. Dr. Nyakun Otu, Director of Labour Research and Policy at the TUC.
Our position is that we are against privatization. We are also against the so-called PSP, and that we see the PSP and privatization as one and the same. And we explained to the committee that, in the language of people who want to privatize, privatization is a very bastardized terminology. In the last 40 years, across the world, people have demonstrated against it. Across the world, the evidence is that it doesn't really work. So today, those who want to privatize will not call it privatization. They will find a nice terminology, private sector participation and all of that. And for us, we are not fooled by the changing dynamics or the terminology. So we say that the two are one and the same thing, and we will oppose it.
Former Commissioner of the Public Utility Regulatory Commission, Dr. Nida Kwasante, says the problems of the power sector will not go away unless revenue mobilization is improved.
As for the problems, there are many, and we can recount all of them. But at the very heart of it, and I think the former MD alluded to the fact that the revenue that was being collected was insufficient for a number of reasons. But no matter what the reasons are, as long as you do not collect the revenue that is required to run the sector, nothing else will work properly.
On the matter of the missing ECG containers, former Managing Director Dubik Mahama has refuted allegations and abandonment of materials at the port.
It's very easy for somebody to say that it's over-procurement. In the life of a utility, is there a statement like that? Heavy is the head. I found myself in a place where you sat in the chair, there are over 800 or 900 projects screaming for materials. You didn't have the requisite revenue at that point. That's what I'm saying. If they had called to ask for the requisite documentation that covers this, what led to this? What led to that? Why were you thinking this way? Again, I said we had an.
So it is a project that pushed you to do the over-procurement.
Look, you can't call it over-procurement because the thing was there, the projects were there, they have to be completed. Or I should also leave them and say, because I came to meet them.
This was his position on the alleged auctioning and repurchase of some of these containers by the ECG.
I'll be honest with you, under my tenure, I never ever procured any container back. Under my tenure, when I heard of a container auction, I wrote to complain about it. Again,
but wait, let me
talk about the minister. It came to my notice about some containers that were auctioned that I wrote. Now, about the minister, the minister was working on a report. And I keep saying it, that the team he put together failed him.
Meanwhile, government continues to engage other stakeholders in the power sector, hoping to see a smooth privatization of the power distributor. James Savage's report for Joy News.
Africa's integration agenda must be fast-tracked. The words of renewed Pan-Africanist Professor PLO Lumumba. And the renowned lawyer and chairman of the PLO Lumumba Foundation has arrived in Ghana ahead of the University of Education Winnipeg's lecture series, where he is expected to deliver his remarks as a distinguished scholar. Head of the Joy News International Affairs Desk, Blessed Suga, went to meet him at the Kotoka International Airport, where he arrived sometime yesterday.
Is back to a place he loves to visit. For any other person, Accra may just be a city. But for Professor PLO Lumumba, it is the heart and soul of Pan-Africanism owing to Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
The heart of the continent of Africa, and I dare say the home of the great Osagi of Kwame Nkrumah. And it gladdens my
But this year, Professor Lumumba is on a more specific mission to deliver a lecture at the University of Education Winnipeg on empowering minds and shaping futures for 21st century education.
It gladdens my heart that we come here to talk about education at the University of Education in Winnipeg. And I believe that that is as topical can be if Africa is to realize the dividends of the fourth and fifth industrial revolution.
In your own view, how can Africa's academia contribute to the change that we want to see?
I believe the time is now for the academy and the academicians to recognize that politics is too serious a business to be left to transactional politicians. And in order to introduce what I've said and called ad nauseum political hygiene, the academician must descend from the ivory tower and be present in the spaces where decisions are being made.
Recent geopolitical developments have prompted calls for the acceleration of the African integration agenda, a call the Pan-Africanists support wholeheartedly.
Without doubt. I mean, if you look at the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, it is nothing new. It is the same thing that Nkrumah talked about in 1963. You're already too late. The fact that I can't move from Addis Ababa to Dakar in Senegal without producing my passport is unfortunate. I ought to be moving from Nairobi to Accra to Monrovia as if it was one country. That is the only way in which we are going to unlock the potential of this continent. So fast track is the correct word.
Ghana's political transition this year witnessed the swearing-in of John Dramani Mahama as the 6th president of the Fourth Republic. For Professor PLO Lumumba, wishing an old friend good luck should be in order.
You have a great country, and I am of the view that you can make it even greater. To my good friend John Dramani Mahama, it is not easy, but if it is easy, it is not worth doing. We wish you well for the benefit of the people of Ghana.
The University of Education Winnipeg Lecture Series will commence on April 11th this year and is expected to attract government officials, members of the academia, and other stakeholders. Blessed Sugan's report for Joy News, Accra.
In a bid to tackle the scourge of climate change in Ghana, the Multimedia Group Limited, in partnership with the Climate and Development Knowledge Network, has teamed up with the Ministry of Climate Change and Sustainability to drive climate action, strengthen capacity building, and enhance the dissemination of climate-related information. Elsie Esiedua Kisiedu has more in this report.
Speaking at the meeting, Joy News Senior Editor Evans Mensah highlighted the crucial role of the media in climate change mitigation. He emphasized a collaboration between the media global organizations, and the government presents a powerful strategy for driving meaningful climate action.
Finally, we have a dedicated government ministry for it. We've been collaborating with the private sector, doing this. We're actually extending our collaboration to international organizations, again through CDK and bringing their networks in the many doors that this has unlocked for us, which is very useful. And there we have the ministry. It's just a natural place to go with this.
Prince Ansa, CDKN's country engagement lead, shared valuable insight into the organization's work at global, regional, and national levels. He stressed that the importance of mobilizing knowledge and strengthening capacity and employing innovative dissemination strategies to effectively engage diverse audience on issues of climate change and sustainability.
We've used creative things like poetry, drama, some at the local level, some at the national level. With young people, we've used games. We create games, normal games for them to play, better strategy games, all those type of things. People always ask, what's my role in this climate change comment? I've heard it, but what's my role in it? So we try to build capacity of key stakeholders to use that particular type of knowledge, and it's whether at the local level or at the national level.
In his remark, Seyidu Yusufu welcomed the delegation and highlighted the ministry's key priorities, including the establishment of a climate change and sustainability hub and the deployment of climate change officers across various sectors.
If we don't have a coordinating point, a central point, somebody who will envelope these pieces of policies and initiatives into one envelope, for decision making, what are we doing? So we're looking at a situation that will begin to open a conversation to have a climate and sustainability hub in Ghana. I've been talking about this. This hub is going to be a one-stop center.
The partnership between Multimedia Group, CDKN, and the ministry sets a promising future in addressing one of the most pressing challenges of our time. Elsie Kisiedu's report read to you.
After 50 years of operating without a dedicated space for children, the Kwesi Government Hospital has finally received its first ever pediatric ward. Now, the new facility, funded by the GOS Limited Company, not only addresses a critical health gap in the municipality, but also promises healthier beginnings for children in the Western region. Natalia Kwanza now reports.
For 5 decades, the Kwesi Government Hospital has catered to children without a designated space, treating them alongside sick mothers in a shared ward. But today, history has changed.
For 50 years, since the inception of this hospital in 1974, we've operated without a dedicated pediatric block, leaving us with no other choice than to keep the sick children with our sick mothers on the same ward. This increasing the risk of going home with other diseases aside the one they came here with. Today we proudly turn a new page. For this first time, we now have a modern facility designed specifically for the care, privacy and dignity of our young patients from birth to 12 years of age.
The initiative is part of a broader commitment by GOS Limited Company, also known as SLB Africa, to deliver sustainable and impactful change to the communities where it operates.
At SLB, we understand that sustainability means more than just addressing our day-to-day operation. We want to create long-term, meaningful change in the community where we live and work. And healthcare is one of the most impactful areas where we can make a difference. Today, with the launch of this ward, we are helping to provide access to critical pediatric care for thousands of children in this community. So, when we look at these initiatives, it's significant when you look at the global context. A recent United Nations report revealed that nearly 5 million children under the age of 5 died last year. with the majority of those deaths occurring in sub-Saharan Africa. The healthcare gaps in this region are staggering, and access to proper care can mean the difference between life and death.
The facility stands not just as an investment in healthcare infrastructure, but a legacy that could shape the lives of thousands of children in the Western region for years to come.
And as a region, maternal and child health care remains a priority area. In almost all our facilities, the critical areas that need to be improved are child health care infrastructure and equipment. Our children are our future, so we must care for them with an eagle's eye and delicate hands. We are therefore grateful to GOS Limited for donating this ultra-modern pediatric unit to the Kwesi Government Hospital, Yedamase.
From sick wards to sanctuaries of healing, Kwesi now offers children a space that reflects their value and right to quality health care. For Joy News, in Athalia Kwansa, Kwesi.
Let's head now to the Asin South constituency, where some concerned residents have strongly expressed their support for their Member of Parliament, Reverend John Ntimfodjo, after his home in Accra was invaded by NIB operatives to arrest him. Echoing the words of the residents at a press conference, the spokesperson of the group, Edu Jemfi, called the prosecution of the Member of Parliament a means to silence his constituents, describing the actions of the NIB operatives as an attempt to undermine the foundations of democracy. Abigail Essel Nkrumah has more in this report.
Concerned constituents of Asin South constituency in the Central region are affirming their support for their Member of Parliament, Reverend Ntimfodjo, after his residence in Accra was invaded by NIB operatives to effect his arrest. Speaking on behalf of the constituent during a press conference, their spokesperson, Edu Jemfi, condemned the actions of the NIB and described the actions as an attempt to undermine the foundations of democracy, calling on well-meaning Ghanaians to speak out against what they call an abuse of power.
We strongly condemn this action and view it as a direct attack on the good people of Asin South, whose democratic will and voice Reverend Ntimfodjo represents. Any attempt to prosecute him is an attempt to silence the entire constituency and to undermine the very foundation, the very good foundation of our democracy. We, the proud people of Asin South, stand firmly with our MP, Honorable Reverend John Ntimfodjo. The allegations he has raised regarding to national security be investigated independently and thoroughly. We reaffirm our support for our MP and assure him that Asin South constituency concerned citizen is proud of him and we stand by him irrespective of the matter that is coming ahead.
Some residents, Benjamin Selassie Mensah and Richard Loko, also condemned the actions of the NIB operatives and called for more investigations to be done into the allegations.
Why are you doing this to him? When Akufo-Addo was in power, did you see any MP being ganged like this? Why send tax to his house, to his home to attack him? This is uncalled for. Yeah. We are not accepting this. Yes. President Mahama should talk to his boys to stop this intolerance that they are showing in this nation. Our MP is the apple of our eyes. We are not going to sit down for any government to intimidate him. No intimidation.
I heard people call him all sorts of names. He's a reverend, Reverend Moko and the rest. He's a reverend. That's why he's speaking truth to power. And we, the resident of Asin South, believes there's some sort of fishy deals. That was why videos were reproduced to deceive the public. We call upon the government to rather come down and investigate into the allegations. You don't just conclude something is a lie without you bringing us the truth. What is the truth if you are calling the person who alleged a liar?
From Asin South, Abigail Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
The Yerina Alhaj Swalihu Momin Sungmo II has expressed profound appreciation and gratitude to President John Dramani Mahama for nominating Alhaj Nura Issa Dawana as the WAM Municipal Assembly Chief Executive Officer. In a press conference read by Secretary Ahmed Abdullahi Yaya, the Yerina acknowledged the president's confidence in Alhaji Dawana, describing the nomination as a singular honor. The Yerina assured the president that Alhaji Dawana would work diligently to achieve his development agenda. Joy News' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
The nomination of businessman and seasoned politician Alhaji Issa Nura Dawana for the position of the Wa Municipal Chief Executive by President John Dramani Mahama has been widely welcomed in the Wa municipality. Leading the charge is Tarairi, where he hails from, and for that matter, a member of the Yerina clan. Yerina Alhaji Salu Mumin Sungumu, at a press conference in Wa, praised Alhaji Dawana's unblemished record and commitment to development, expressing confidence that he will collaborate with stakeholders to take the Wa municipality to new heights. Ahmed Abdullah Yaya is the secretary to the Yerina, and he addressed a press conference on his behalf.
Nura Issa Dawana is a household political figure within the Wa metropolis and beyond. He has the rare opportunity and the enviable record of serving as the Deputy Regional Secretary of NDC Party for 12 consecutive years with unblemished record. The Yerina has no doubt that Alhaji Nura Issa Dawana will collaborate with all relevant stakeholders to take the development of the Wa metropolis to another level.
The Yerina and his elders also expressed gratitude to President John Dramani Mahama for the nomination. The Yerina is hopeful that he will be overwhelmingly endorsed by the members of the Wa Municipal Assembly and therefore assure the president of working to achieve his developmental agenda.
The Yerina and his elders are deeply indebted to you for this singular honor done to their son. The Yerina therefore wishes to assure you on behalf of his son that he will work assiduously to help ensure that your resetting agenda is accomplished.
He concluded by praying for the president's continued success and blessings. Alhaji Nura Issa Dawana, before the nomination, has been the Deputy Apostle Regional Secretary of the NDC in the last 12 years. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wa.
Well, it's time now for our business update. Up next. Let's get into our stories now. And the Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofosu-Ejari, has expressed confidence in the government's ability to renegotiate the 10% tariff imposed on Ghana by the Trump administration following a 90-day suspension announced yesterday. Speaking at a stakeholder engagement in Accra to assess the impact of the tariff across various sectors, Mrs. Ofosu-Ejari emphasized the urgent need to strengthen Ghana's trade-related infrastructure in order to fully leverage the opportunities presented by the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Night, before I went to bed, the United States paused its earlier arrangements, which placed all its trading partners under a uniform 10% tariff band for 90 days. This 90-day reprieve from the reciprocal tariff arrangement provides us with the opportunity to renegotiate terms for a potential reduction, and in my heart, 0%. The 90-day pause also provides us with the opportunity to assess the full impact of the tariff and adopt various strategies to mitigate the immediate impact on our trade and economy.
Now, the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana has called on the government to prioritize building the capacity of local manufacturers to produce more active pharmaceutical ingredients, that is APIs, in order to grow the industry. According to the PSG, the country's pharmaceutical industry has the potential of contributing significantly to the economy, but this can only be achieved if local manufacturers are equipped with the necessary capacity to produce more APIs. Reverend Dennis Senna Awiti is the Executive Secretary of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana.
We are still growing, we are still developing. I think with the right policies,
we should be able to gradually develop and get to that stage. Amongst even the local pharmaceutical importers, there is a strong push for those who are importing their own brands of medicines from elsewhere, India, China, and the likes, to now concentrate on doing local contract manufacturing, and they are engaging the local manufacturers and then to be able to do that. So, and while others are also seriously looking at building their own pharmaceutical manufacturing plants here. So, for me, I think that Rome was not built in the day. We should, whilst we are consuming, we should look at the things that we consume, things that we need most, and we start from there and build the industry. Currently, between 30 to 40% of all our local needs in terms of pharmaceuticals are manufactured locally.
And it's a wrap for AM Business and, of course, AM News in general. But I will leave you now with our commodities market.